Here's my thing, and it's funny because I feel like something I think is true about the leftist internet space, right? I think the leftist internet space has like a white tint to it that is interesting because like actual like traditional leftism and on the streets and organizes is very black, but on the internet, there's always this willingness. I feel like certain figures are propelled to the front, and there's always this willingness to excuse glaring prejudices. And everything that I've seen from Cenk and Anna from the moment that they have come into like my arena is
glaring prejudice, dude. Like, dude,
prejudice when it comes to black people, marginalized people, immigrants, all this. And I always find it.
Dude, they talk about, just listen to them talk about Karen Bass or Kamala Harris for 5 minutes and you see it. It's just venomous.
Interesting how willing people are to overlook their like obvious racism in exchange for, oh, they're progressives because these other things, as though like these are not disqualifying factors. And I think that was clear with even when you saw when Anna went on her little anti-left, not even the most recent, like I've left the left, her original anti-left press run when people first started criticizing over birthing person, and she was in her whole like framing it like she had a beef with me. What she was saying on a lot of those shows, she was talking about how she doesn't like to talk to black people. I don't like to talk to black people. Oh, I don't feel comfortable with black people.
Remember that.
Outright Francesca, the reason you don't remember it is because despite the fact that she could say something like that outright, the left didn't give a like this white internet left that is talking about it. That's not something they find worth criticizing her for. Racism is cool. Like this other stuff, everyone's like, oh my gosh, yeah. But that's been clear. And if you hear what they say about black people, even their own personal interactions with somebody, if you think someone who's in like the year 2023 telling us they don't like to talk to black people and black people make them uncomfortable and basically making it out to be a hostile environment, like I can't speak or black people are this, that, that. By the way, when they exist in a space where they could count, black people are like flies in the milk, right? Like she's saying, oh, me, she has a problem with me in comparison to a million white creators that are criticizing her, right? And if you hear how they talk about just their own personal interactions with black people, what would make us think they're talking about that? They're talking like that about black people that are in the same space as them, that are like their colleagues, are supposed to be their peers. How do you think they feel about poor black people and working class black people and who they're deeming the immigrants and the homeless and the criminals? And they say as much. When I was talking to Cenk was spitting back at me what is sure-fired propaganda, like literal lies. I'm like, I am an attorney in this city. That is not how fucking the law works. People are not committing crime, getting out the next day and committing more crime, and they can't be jailed and all of this. And they didn't want to hear it. And their response was what he said to me then when he
yeah, dude, that's like that Donald Trump shit where he says that they only steal like $900 worth of shit so they can just walk out for free.
When he started turning up was, we have been some of the greatest champions of criminal justice and all of this, blah, 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 at the Young Turks. And that's pretty much their attitude. They act like 2009 Kanye, which is dead ass they do. Like every time I hear Cenk and Anna, it's this very like, I am king. I have opened the door for you peasants and y'all should all be bowing down to me. And I think that's clear just in how they went about dealing with you, because there's no reason, even if they decided that, oh, I don't want her on my network anymore, I'm mad for this reason. There's a big jump between that and let me get in front of the camera, let me make and produce a video so that I could put it on. And I want to put this person on blast because there's a suggestion that they want to end you. In their mind, if they had it their way, they don't want people watching you. They want to tarnish your reputation, which is interesting, right? Like they running up there to
copyright strike us too. They threatened to.
See, you know what's funny is I feel like she in that rant that she just did there. Doesn't it seem like she just completely exposed what is actually going on with TYT? Because in TYT's mind, if you were to ask Anna and Cenk, they feel like everybody has turned on them. Everybody is like being unreasonably attacking them, not allowing them to have their own individual viewpoints. They portray it as though they differentiate with the crowd and now the crowd is out for blood. But if you listen to that rant right there where she said something that is objectively true, like, they were spitting the N-word, okay? They've always been saying shit that is pretty outlandish and kind of like openly racist, but because they were progressives and because they were the stalwart, like part of the first wave of like YouTube progressives, nobody ever called them out on their shit. They could just do whatever the fuck they wanted without consequences for the longest time. And then what happened is the movement gained other power that were not TYT people, and it evolved to where people started having consequences. White people started having consequences for what they said if it was racist. Men like Harvey Weinstein started actually going to jail. So if you spoke out negatively or raped women and did that shit, you started having consequences. Andrew Tate got deplatformed for being a fucking bitch, right? Male rapists, some of them actually went to fucking jail or got charged, right? So now the only thing is it's not like everybody's turned on them. It's not like they're getting called out because they went against the crowd. It's the fact that people are now voicing up like the shit you say is just not okay, man. It's just, there is racism. There is sexism, right? Before they could do camel toes, then nobody said anything. Now people are like, God damn, you're still doing camel toes. You're just hiding it under the veil of progressivism. You're still racist as you were when you were saying the N-word. But like, you gotta fucking stop that shit. It just hit me that like, I don't even know that they actually changed. Maybe they've always been doing that. It's just the community never fought back against them. That's fucking really wild. I think she just nailed it, man.
You're right, Francesca, honestly, that I've tried to. Every time I talk about TYT, honestly, in the last year or so, I always start by trying to be like, let me show you where I like feel, I can understand where one could grow frustrated, right? Because I never want to be a hypocrite. Like, as somebody who is a creator and who recognizes how it feels when a bunch of people are shitting on you and talking about you and stuff, I want to be sensitive to that. Even though Anna and Cenk are people who are like notoriously not sensitive to me in particular, and it's always funny because I feel like I handle them the nicest, but whenever they talk about me, that's when they feel feel like they could get really, because I think Cenk just called me stupid out the blue the other day on Twitter, and I find it funny just because, what is it, 2 years ago now? And I think I said, they very obviously were getting ready to do a grift. It seemed very clear to me. And I actually think I'll say what I think, either I was wrong about or is just worse than I thought it would be. Because to some level, I didn't think they were like right wing or that they believed a lot of the things that they were saying. I thought it was very obvious that they know that there is a formula and how to move over to the right or what they thought would earn them more dollars. I think 2 years with like perspective now, I think they do believe a lot of the right wing. I think they do too. Passionately hold a lot of these right wing views. I do still.
I mean, dude, we do like Cenk was a right winger. Okay, he was just mad at George Bush's military shit and reactionarily left the right wing. But I look at them, and when you hear them, in particular, the venom, the sort of like subtle racism and misogyny that they're grappling with, but they won't acknowledge, they have like significant right-wing traits. The fake anger, the incredulity, the like getting stuck on a conveyor belt of a single grievance that they just can't let go of.
I think it was a deliberate, and it continues to be a deliberate effort to try to hone in on right-wing money that they know they can't earn by just being on the right. They want to be the leftist who shit on the left. Like, I can hang out here. It's like they want to be the woman in the room that is with all the men that are like, oh, all these bitches are this, that, but not you. You know what I mean? That's what they want to be like, cool girl. I'm the sensible leftist. Cool, and their version of a sensible leftist is a right-wing centrist.
Totally. And it's fine to be a centrist, but you got to just own up to the fact that you're a centrist. And I will just say there's like been a couple moments where I knew that their coverage has been, there's been massive blind spots. So I've always bristled at the idea that it's for money.
My analysis of Cenk and Anna is that I think that they were really just clout chasing the entire Bernie era. I don't see a lot of legitimate progressive values there, but what it was the fucking gold mine, California gold rush of YouTube. If you were starting up, Gavin and I used to fucking lay up at night, get a little stoned and be like, God, could you imagine if we started our channel in 2015, bro? Like, channels that were not very capable were just blowing up out of control because people were desperate to hear anybody talk about Bernie Sanders. And of course, there were really good content creators that were really riding that wave at a time, but it was a total cash grab. That's why they don't talk about, Gavin just pointed out the other day on air, they don't even call themselves the home of progressives half the time anymore. And what you see is that Cenk really just wanted to grow his platform. Sam Cedar was mentioning that he wanted to be on in airports. And if you look at his trajectory like that, It really makes sense. So he goes from being a Republican, which is when you're young, if you're 25 and you fucking hate, people who are different than you, probably that's going to be in you when you're 45 too. Like, it's just very difficult for me to believe that you had an altruistic evolution at that age. Maybe you
That's
didn't,
what
God
I'm
bless
talking
you if
about.
that happened, but maybe you saw a lane for yourselves. And instead of having you and this 19-year-old chick that you hired, no offense, Anna, talk about like, oh, this is how chicken nuggets are made. And this is a woman that got mauled by a chimpanzee, which are the two highest viewed videos in TYT history from before they decided to be progressive. Then in 2016, they're blowing up out of control. Cenk's mind says, I am going to go take a venture capital fundraising round and raise over $20 million from West Coast elites, as I'm constantly looking at the camera and telling my audience, we need to get big money out of politics. We need to get big money out of media. I'm trying to promote independent media companies, but really I'm just skimming 20% off the top of them like a mafia boss, which Sam Seder also revealed.
See, that's another thing that is so true. Cenk's entire populist identity is based on the get money out of politics. Get money out of politics. That is his refrain. That's his core, his everything. And he is consistently taking corporate money from Katzenberg, from Polymarket. He is always taking the huge corporate dollar. He is literally a corporate donor user who cries about the Democratic establishment taking corporate money.
They weren't doing anything to promote their network of shows. They were allowing them to pay them money to optimize their content. That's totally not what they were presenting to the public. Then they get Joe Sandberg to do a cash infusion and convince their audience that there's a way to do progressive banking. That guy just went down for a $100 million fraud in California, and they did zero coverage of it on their network.
Oh, of course.
Then they go out and in a very critical election to stave off fascism in the United States. We're not talking about Mitt Romney or Paul Ryan. We're talking about Donald Trump times 2. They say, we're going to get in bed with Peter Thiel and Polymarket, a crypto gambling service that's illegal in the United States, where you run your freaking company and you're going to sell the naming rights to the People's Studio, which you
Don't forget, run
fundraise.
for president.
Run for president, run for Congress and fail. They had a studio that they got built with $400,000 in small dollar donations when they were at that same time taking venture capital money. Could you believe the con that they had to do to those people?
Dude, they crowdfunded their studio and then sold the naming rights to the funder of J.D. Vance and the other ticket. Dude, I mean, can you be any more devious? Dude, think about that.
To then turn around and be like, we're going to name it the Polymarket Studios. People really believed that TYT was a home for progressive change. So Gavin and I just view them as a corporate news network that completely sold their audience down the river. And that's why we make a living lampooning.
Can I, first of all,
I mean, dude, I have no problem lampooning them too. And I don't want to make a living exclusively lampooning TYT, but I do feel as a new, fresh, progressive voice and somebody who's tiny, I'm a nobody. I have no big platform or anything, but I do feel like we are building a community of powerful joy and aggression to change this world and to not fall into the pitfalls of the political ruts, that we are something new. We bring something new to this equation. And I believe that as somebody who wants to start the next wave of political discussion that is raw and honest and vulnerable and shares real personal experience and not just, talking about theoretical concepts, but stuff based on reality, trying to have the real conversations. It is our duty to stave off some of the damage that TYT is trying to do to the progressive movement, because they are trying to actively sabotage the left. And they will motherfucking throw an election over grievance. They will. They will throw an election to the other side and then go on all of the other side's show saying how bad the left side is. We've seen it. We know their game. We know that if they want to move into a new space, since they burned all their fucking bridges, that's the way they're going to do it. They're going to be the faux progressive saboteur. And no, we're going to take them down. We're not going to let them do that shit. No, you're going down with that shit. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. You like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.